Hi everybody, we have got the Goblin Reclaimers. Check out my video about the new orcs and the Goblin Reclaimers army list, and welcome to a video where I will paint my first army of Goblin Reclaimers. The video could also have been called Painting Goblins Without Green. But first, let's take a look at the miniatures that I have chosen for my Goblin Reclaimers. My first goal is to build a Grimdark Future Firefight squad, and to do that I have found these Station Forge Gobbo infantry minis. They look like this when they arrive, and I have primed them white to get them ready for painting. And as in my previous painting video, I must say I am not a skilled painter at all. I have my methods, but I have no fancy equipment, not a lot of experience, and the method I will use to paint these goblins is, well, I don't know what it's called, but it's kind of a reverse slap chop, where instead of priming black and then dry brushing white, I will prime them white and then make a dark wash, thin it down, and then slap it all over the minis, just like this. It's not the only way I paint, but I have done this method recently, and I think it's very fast, and that is my goal, to paint the minis fast. And as you can see, I use mostly the Army Painter Speedpaints, and the wash here is also the dark wash from the Army Painter. So it is a very fast method. Slap it all over, make sure it doesn't pool too much, and then you will have minis in black and white, ready for the next step. My overall plan with the Goblin Reclaimers is to make them look dark and gritty and angry, not too bright and colorful at all. And I also have a plan that I will not use any Goblin Green or Orc Green color. I painted my last goblins that I used in my last battle report very bright green, and they also look good. They are colorful in yellow and red and all that. I want these completely different. If you paint miniatures like I do here, they will of course have to dry a while before you can continue to the next step. And as I mentioned, I used the dark tone here. This is the old one from the Army Painter. There is a new one as well. Let's see, yeah, I have it here, and they work quite the same. So thin it down a little bit, and then you have a wash. Now onto the other paints. I will select some of these paints, not them all. I kind of like to keep it simple. When the minis are dry, they will look like this, and this is one of the characters that I have bought. He will be the boss champ of my Goblin Reclaimers, and he looks really, really cool and angry. Besides the boss champ, my Firefight squad will have a boss, a shooter mob, a storm mob, and a looter, and then they can be backed up with some goblin walkers as well. But this is my plan to begin with. But back to the skin color. I experimented a while and found out that if I took 50-50 Howling Sand and Mace Yellow and put in a few drops of Brownish Decay, I kind of got a skin tone that I think could work, especially when I want my goblins to look dirty and battle-hardened. But let's try to put some on one of the minis and see how it looks. I also like that it's not completely the same skin tone on all the goblins. It's fine to me that they are slightly different. So this is greenish, yellowish skin color, and you know what, I think I will just go for it. I can brighten it up or darken it later if I want to. For now, I just want to put this skin tone on all the goblins, and then we'll go from there. If you want to check out some of these goblin minis from Station Forge, I can tell you that there are several minis to choose from. I choose the infantry here to begin with because I had an idea of how my army list should be. But you can also find the goblins with jetpacks and also goblin walkers, everything you need to start your goblin army. and I am very eager to see how they perform in battle. And I know I don't have high hopes because the weak spot, of course, is their defense. It's extremely bad. They shoot better than the orcs, though, and they are quite well armed. And of course, they will have the strength in numbers in many cases. Well, but this is how they look with the first round of skin color complete. And, well, to me, it's really what I was looking for. They are not greenish goblins, they are not bright. And, well, that's just what I wanted. So I'll continue to the next step. And my next colors to go for are gray. I will use gray for some of the pants and also some of the boots maybe. As I said, I don't want a huge variety in colors. I want them to be kind of similar but also different. And this champ here will of course be different. I have put some white in his hair and I'm going to use a dark tone later. So I want his hair to be kind of grayish looking. And then I also have a few other colors to make some of the individual characters and group leaders more distinct from the others. I don't want them to look shiny, so this is not silver shiny or gold shiny goblins at all. But let's see what I can do. I will proceed with some leather brown to paint some of the straps. One of them here has a few pouches, but straps and belts, and also a few of the boots. With that step more or less finished, this is how the Reclaimers look now. The next color I'm looking for is what you could call denim. I want some of them to wear a denim type look. So I took runic gray and mixed in a few drops of High Lord blue to hit a color, something like denim jeans. And if it's too bright, I can use a darker gray. I want that color to some of the goblin's pants and also, in this case, the vest here that he is wearing. And I think it works pretty well with that color. It's not too bright and it will fit in with the gray and the black that I'm planning to use as well. But I don't want it too black, so if I paint all the boots and all the helmets, for example, and also the weapons black, it will be a bit too dark. And this color will not be bright, but it will of course be brighter than all the really dark colors. So after this step, some of the goblins have bandages and bracelets and arm rings. I will paint those as well. In my style of painting, I don't always look for a very specific color that I have to go out and buy. There could, of course, be some colors that are really needed for a project, and the army painter paints are quite price-friendly, I guess. But otherwise, I'll just use what I have. In this case, I think I'll use some bony matter to paint these arm bracelets or whatever it is. And then I'm ready to go to the next step. So the jeans denim color here worked quite well on these two at least. Next up, I want some olive army green, and I don't have that color either. So now I will use orc green or orc skin, and I will mix it to make a dirty green, military green type of color. I won't use that color on all the goblins, just a few of them, like in this case the helmet. I have 3 remaining colors now that will more or less cover the rest of the minis. I want the shoulder pads and armor to be in a bronze color, no shining silver here, or at least not that much. Then I have to use black to some of the weapons, some of the boots, and finally a silver for the knives and a few other spots. So with these 3 colors on the minis, they will be more or less complete. First, the shoulder pads and armor. They are lightly armored, as goblins typically are, but most of them have shoulder pads and arm rings. and a few of them also some knee pads, but not a lot of armor. They have to be fast and maneuverable, I guess. Later I might add a few rusty stains here and there. A rusty effect to some of their weapons and armor is an optional choice, of course. I don't know yet if I will do that, but maybe I will. But the armor here will be painted in this bronze tone, and the next color will be black. I don't want all the weapons completely black. As you can see here, I have a little bit of red here, but it's not much. So mostly black, and the clips and the ammo, I think I'll paint them in a silver metal color. One of the goblins also needed a black helmet. The black color I use is Grim Black, and again, it could easily have been another type of black speed paint. Most of the paints are from this Speedpaint 2.0 from the Army Painter. But if you have some of the older speed paints, well, they work almost just as well. I said I didn't want any shiny silver, but the weapons, the knives and the saws and stuff like that, I will paint those with, in this case, broadsword silver. That will look nice, I guess. So, with all that done, the Goblin Reclaimers are almost finished. I still need to work on the details, like, for example, the eyes, and also add a black wash here and there, and of course the bases need work too. The Station Forge minis don't come with bases, so I have found some Necromunda bases and a larger type for the champion and the boss, and I will begin with this rusty color. Just give all the Necromunda bases that color and do some paint chipping here with a metal silver. The larger bases for the champion and the boss are made with Astro Granite. And then I will add a wash, the same black wash that I have used all along, and I will add it to the bases and maybe a few other spots. As always, you can continue with the details, adding washes and highlights and all that. That's of course completely up to you what kind of detail you want. Since I'm not a skilled detail painter, I think I'm about to be finished with my Goblin Reclaimers, adding the last washes and details here. So now I'm excited to see how they perform. If they get their butts kicked or they actually can surprise. The army list is somewhere around 250 points, and if you have any suggestions to who the Goblin Reclaimers will fight in their first battle, well, just feel free to add them to the comments. Thanks a lot for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I hope you'll join me for future videos.